So guys, in today's video we're talking about the bumper resolution that Apple added to the iPhone 14 Pro only on the One X. In fact, this is the first time that we see a bumper in resolution from the iPhone 6s that was released back in 2015. So you can perfectly understand that this is such a good deal. But since nowadays a lot of smartphone has a really dense sensor, I can say, so I mean that a lot of smartphones have a lot of megapixel, like for example the Samsung S22 Ultra has 180 megapixel. I wanted to see if this bumping resolution is only marketing or if the photos are really sharper. So in today's video I'll share with you when you should use this mode and when you shouldn't too. Okay, so first thing, I want to walk you in the right setting or how to enable this 48 megapixel, because you have to know that it is disabled by default. So you have to go to the settings and then you have to scroll down till you reach the camera section. Click on the camera section and on the top of these settings you will find formats, and then under the photo capture tab you can see Pro RAW resolution, that by default again is 12 megapixel, but if you click inside you can switch from the 12 to the 48 megapixel. And yes, unfortunately this resolution is only available when you're shooting in Apple Pro RAW. But if you already have some third-party app, like for example Halide or also Reflex, that applications gives you the ability to shoot at 48 megapixel in JPEG. In any case guys, don't worry, because before you start to edit this RAW shot, the iPhone do basically an auto conversion to all the RAW shots, so you can immediately send the photos to WhatsApp for example, or on an email as an attachment. Unfortunately though, there is no quick way to switch from the 12 and the 48 megapixel right in the native camera app, but all the time you have to go in the settings and enable the 12 megapixel or the 48 as I show you. So after you enabled, I know that you want to know if this 48 megapixel is really sharper or, as I told you, is only marketing. The good news guys is that it is, the photos are sharper, and this is due simply to the higher count of megapixel, because the lens in the end is the same. But I think that the coolest fact that you will have enabling the 48 megapixel is that, as I told you in my 2x camera video that if you want you can check out here, I've said that enabling this mode you can choose any focal length between the 1x and the 2x. What I mean for that? I mean that if you take a shot at 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, etc, you can still have a good image, because the smart thing that Apple did is reduce the resolution proportionally to the lens choice. So for example, if you shoot an image at 1.9x, the resolution will be almost 12 megapixel, around 13. But for example, if you take a picture at 1.1 megapixel, the resolution will be a little bit less, below 48 megapixel. So you can understand that this is quite helpful, because sometimes you need a focal length that is between 1 or 24 mm, that is the equivalent full frame lenses, and the 2x, that is the 52 mm. But unfortunately guys, these are the only two pros that the 48 megapixel will give you, or at least these are the only pros that I could think of. So the first cons is that the files are 3 times larger compared than the 12 megapixel shots, and also the shooting experience is slower, about 3 times slower. In fact, I ran a test where in 3 seconds I could take 5 images with the 48 megapixel mode, but 15 images with the 12 megapixel. And then unfortunately you can use the 48 megapixel with the night mode, even though you can see the night mode icon when the 48 megapixel option is enabled, because if you try to do it, the result will be only 12 megapixel. But if you want to do anyways, you can still do it disabling the night mode option. The only cons is that in some really dark scenes the output or the exposure of the image will be slightly darker compared to the 12 megapixel. But since this is a raw image, you can always bring up the exposure in post, and if you will do it, you have have to know that the image is slightly noisier, but not so much. So guys, after all of this, when you should do it? When I recommend you to use the 48 megapixel mode? For me at least, I will leave the option always on, because having more resolution is always helpful. And also I can recommend you to don't use the night mode when you are using the 48 megapixel, because as I show you, the result is not so much noisier. Because since we are using a 1x lens that is pretty capable in low light, this is the reason why the shots are still good. But if you want to know my personal opinion or the biggest fact that bring me to use this 48 megapixel is the choice lens between the 1x and the 2x, because I think that will be so helpful to know that you can choose whatever lens between these two focal lengths. But if you want to do this, you have to know that this doesn't work if you are using the 12 megapixel mode in Apple Pro and also in JPEG or HIF. While when you should not use this mode, I think that the biggest reason is when you are not used to back up the phone externally, because as I told you, the photos are 3 times bigger. And then, and this is more important I think, when you need to shoot a fast subject, like for example I can think about kids, street photography, sport, etc, etc. And the last reason why you shouldn't use it is when you are shooting a really dark scene. But I encourage you of course to do your own tests. So let's conclude this video, because I think that at least personally I will use a lot this 48 megapixel, but I'm used to backing up the phone, so keep this in mind. And I'm so glad that this wasn't only marketing but is an helpful feature, and I hope that in the future all the other cameras will have the 48 megapixel mode. And if you liked the look of all the photos that you have seen, you have to know that I've edited with my own personal preset, that if you want to know more, check out the link in the description below. That's it guys for this video. Don't forget to check out all the other videos that I made on the iPhone 14 Pro, and I leave you the playlist at the end of the video. Don't forget also to follow me on Instagram to see behind the scenes content, and like and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!